These are 8 tiny daily money habits that separate the 46% of Americans who can actually cover a 3-month emergency from the 54% who cannot. None of them require a raise, a side hustle, or a finance degree, and by the end of this video you will know exactly which ones to start tomorrow morning. Let me show you what you are working against in 2026, according to Bankrate's 2026 Annual Emergency Savings Report. Only 46% of Americans hold enough emergency savings to cover 3 months of expenses, and 29% of Americans actually carry more credit card debt than emergency savings. The U.S. News 2026 Financial Wellness Survey found something even more uncomfortable, which is that 43% of Americans could not pay for a $1,000 emergency expense out of savings. The debt side of the picture looks just as rough. Total U.S. credit card debt climbed to $1.21 trillion in the second quarter of 2025, according to the Federal Reserve. And LendingTree pegged the average balance among cardholders carrying debt at $7,886 by the third quarter of that same year. All of this weighs on people in a very real way, because Ramsey Solutions' State of Personal Finance report for the fourth quarter of 2025 found that 52% of Americans worry about their finances every single day. If that low-grade money anxiety has been humming in the background of your life, you are quite literally in the majority. Here is the good news, and it comes straight from James Clear in Atomic Habits, where he wrote, and I am quoting directly, "If you can get 1% better each day for 1 year, you'll end up 37 times better by the time you are done." That single sentence is the entire premise of this video. 8 small habits, compounded, and you will be shocked at what happens over 12 months. Habit 1 is to pay yourself first, and then automate it so you never have to think about it again. This idea is almost a century old, going all the way back to a 1926 book called The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason, where a character named Arkad teaches the principle in one line: a part of all you earn is yours to keep. Warren Buffett put it even more bluntly when he advised, do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. The reason this matters in 2026 is that behavioral economists Richard Thaler and Shlomo Benartzi proved in their 2004 Save More Tomorrow paper that most people who want to save more simply do not have the willpower to act on that desire in the moment. And their solution was to remove the moment entirely by automating the decision in advance. Vanguard's How America Saves 2025 report backs this up cleanly, showing that 401k plans with automatic enrollment hit participation rates around 85%, compared to just 64 to 66% in voluntary plans. Setting up an automated transfer from checking to savings takes about 30 seconds. And once it is running, you never think about it again. Habit 2 is moving that savings into a high-yield account, which is almost embarrassingly easy. And most people over 45 are still leaving real money on the table here. NerdWallet reports that as of mid-2026, the national average savings AP sits at just 0.38%, while top high-yield savings accounts are paying around 4 to 5%. With Investopedia listing Varo Bank at the top at 5.00%. That works out to roughly 10 times more interest on the exact same dollar for doing absolutely nothing different with your money. If your emergency fund is currently parked at a traditional big bank, that cash is working a tenth as hard as it could be, which means the habit here is not a daily one. It is the 5-minute decision to set it up once. Habit 3 is the daily expense check-in, and this one literally takes 60 seconds. Pull up your banking app once a day, and that is the whole habit. According to Academy Bank's reporting on budgeting behavior, 53.8% of consumers track expenses manually, while only about 20.9% use budgeting apps. And Forbes Advisor's 2026 rankings put PocketGuard at the top for spending tracking. Honestly though, your bank's own app works perfectly fine for this. The reason this habit matters so much is that awareness is the cheapest financial tool in existence. and you cannot fix what you refuse to look at. Habit 4 is where the numbers get genuinely shocking, and it is auditing your subscriptions. The average American shells out $219 a month on subscriptions across 8.2 active services, but estimates that figure at only $86, which is a 2.5 times perception gap according to data shared by NextGen Personal Finance. A separate West Monroe study landed even higher, putting monthly subscription spending at $273, up 15% from 2018. Turn this into a weekly ritual instead of a daily one, perhaps every Sunday morning with your coffee, where you scan your statements for streaming services you forgot about, that fitness app you tried in January, or the free trial that quietly converted into a paid plan. For people in their 50s and 60s, especially, this one habit can free up hundreds of dollars a month without changing your lifestyle in any noticeable way. Habit 5 is the 24-hour rule, and it works exactly like it sounds, which is that before any non-essential purchase, you wait one full day. Zurich Insurance's financial education materials promote this rule, and personal finance commentators like Rachel Cruz regularly recommend it as well. CNBC has reported on a related version called the 1% rule, where any purchase exceeding 1% of your annual gross income gets a mandatory overnight pause before you pull the trigger. The goal here is not to stop buying things. It is to put a small amount of friction between impulse and action, because impulse is exactly where most budgets quietly fall apart. Habit 6 is to cook one more meal at home this week than you did last week. The Bureau of Labor Statistics 2024 Consumer Expenditure Survey found that the average U.S. household spent $3,933 on food away from home in 2024. And a 2014 study published in the International Journal of Behavioral Nutrition and Physical Activity, led by Monsivais and colleagues, found that people who spent less than 1 hour a day on food preparation spent significantly more money eating out and used fast food more frequently. You do not need to meal prep like an Instagram influencer to benefit from this. The daily habit is just one extra home-cooked meal compared to your current baseline, and the savings build from there. Habit 7 is tracking your net worth, and this is the one nearly everyone over 45 should be doing, yet most are not. Merrill Lynch's education materials recommend calculating your net worth at least once a year as a way to check in on your financial goals. And the Financial Planning Association's journal noted in a March 2025 study that high net worth individuals tend to report higher financial satisfaction and lower financial stress than their affluent peers. That finding is correlational rather than causal, because having more money obviously reduces money stress on its own. The habit still matters, though, because tracking shifts your focus away from monthly cash flow, which fluctuates wildly, toward long-term trajectory, which is what actually determines whether your retirement works out. Assets minus liabilities. Once a month, written down somewhere you will see it again. Habit 8 is the 60-second money mindset reset. And while it sounds soft, the research behind it is real. The American Psychological Association's 2025 Stress in America report shows that financial stress sits among the top stressors for U.S. adults. And LifeStance Health reported in 2025 that people experiencing high financial stress are more than twice as likely to forgo mental health treatment. Financial stress compounds against your physical and mental health just as much as it compounds against your wallet. Research published in Psychotherapy Research found that a brief gratitude writing intervention measurably decreased stress and depressive symptoms in participants. The daily habit here is simple, which is to write down one thing you are financially grateful for, whether that is a paid-off card, a stable job, or the fact that your savings rate moved up by 0.25% this month. 60 seconds is all it takes, and over time, it genuinely rewires how you relate to money. Here is the part that ties everything together. Philippa Lally's 2009 study at University College London found that on average it takes 66 days for a new behavior to become automatic. with a range stretching all the way from 18 days to 254 days. The 21-day habit myth from the 1960s does not hold up. So, do not measure your progress against it. Some of these habits will click in 3 weeks, and others will take you 8 months, both of which are completely normal. Remember the math from Clear, which says 1% better every day for a year equals 37 times better by the end. You are not trying to overhaul your entire life by Friday. You are just trying to be slightly more intentional than you were yesterday, which means automated savings, a high-yield account, a daily check-in, a subscription audit, a 24-hour pause, one more home-cooked meal, a monthly net worth update, and a 60-second gratitude reset. That stacks up to 8 habits, probably 12 total minutes a day. And it is the difference between being one of the 52% of Americans who worry about money every single day and being one of the people who quietly, and without drama, actually build wealth in their 50s and 60s. Pick 2 of these to start tomorrow. Not all 8, just 2, because that is the realistic first step. If this was useful, the smartest thing you can do right now is share it with someone in your life who has been stressed about money, because these habits work better when you are not doing them alone. I will see you in the next one.